My dad cleared my entire Black Friday cart. Seeing the hopeful, expectant look in his eyes, waiting for praise, I grabbed his arm and dragged him toward the front door. He stumbled, struggling in confusion. Lily, what's wrong with you? Aren't you happy I bought you everything on your list? From the kitchen, my mom hurried out to see what the commotion was. I ignored his questions, shoved him out the door with all my strength, and slammed the deadbolt shut. His voice, now laced with anger, echoed from the hallway. Open this door. Why the hell did you lock me out? Open up. I said open the door. Tell me what the hell is going on right now. Mom walked over, a placating smile on her face. All right, that's enough joking around. Let your father in. It's freezing out there. She reached for the lock, but I clamped my hand around her wrist. Don't you dare, I said, my voice like ice. This is my house. If you open that door, you can get out with him. Her smile froze. She slowly pulled her hand back, her eyes wide with disbelief. Why? Because he cleared your shopping cart? He was just spending money on you, trying to make you happy. The pounding on the door softened, replaced by a trembling, pleading voice. Honey, it's so cold out here. Please, just let daddy in. Mom's confusion curdled into rage. Are you insane? He's your father. You ungrateful brat. After we raised you all these years. I just stared at her, my face a blank mask. Suddenly, she bolted into the kitchen. When she returned, she was holding a gleaming fruit knife, pressing the blade against her own wrist. Her voice was a hoarse whisper. I'm asking you one last time. Are you going to open this door? I watched her silently, then turned, took the sharpest cleaver from the knife block, and threw it at her feet with a deafening clang. Go ahead. This one's faster. The echo of the cleaver hitting the floor vibrated through the living room. Mom's hand went limp, and the fruit knife fell to the ground. She collapsed onto the floor, staring at me as if I were a stranger. Outside, the pounding had stopped. I peered through the peephole. Our next-door neighbor, Mrs. Gable, was standing in the hallway, a coat thrown over her shoulders. She was staring horrified at my dad, who was now huddled in a corner. Leo, what are you doing sitting out here? He looked up, his lips purple from the cold. It's nothing, he stammered. The kid and I just had a little argument. An argument is no reason to lock someone out in this weather. Mrs. Gable started hammering on our door. Lily, open up. You'll freeze him to death out there. Mom scrambled toward the door, but I blocked her path. Let me go. At least let me give him a blanket. She sobbed, struggling against me. I released her. I watched as she ran to the bedroom, grabbed a comforter, and stumbled back. I opened the door just a crack and watched her shove the blanket into his arms. You just wait. I'm calling building management right now, Mrs. Gable said to my dad, her voice dripping with indignation before turning and storming downstairs. Less than 10 minutes later, the building manager, Mr. Evans, arrived with 2 security guards. He stood outside, his tone polite but firm. Ms. Collins, we've received a complaint from a neighbor that you've locked a family member out of your apartment. It's dangerously cold tonight. Perhaps you could— Mr. Evans, I interrupted him from behind the closed door. If I remember correctly, the deed to this apartment has only one name on it, mine. There was a moment of silence from the hallway. I am the sole owner, I said calmly. I have the right to decide who I allow into my home. This is a private family matter. Mr. Evans paused, then finally relented. Understood, Ms. Collins. We respect the owner's rights. However, we do hope you can resolve this conflict peacefully. I heard them murmur a few words to Mrs. Gable before their footsteps faded away. He was still out there, wrapped in the thin comforter, shivering in the drafty hall. Mom wanted to stay outside with him, but I forced her back inside and locked the door again. Late into the night, I sat in front of the security monitor in the living room. On the screen, his attempts to knock grew weaker and weaker until he finally slumped against the door and slid to the floor. I could hear Mom's muffled sobs from her bedroom, but I just kept my eyes glued to the screen. Just as the sky began to lighten, Mom emerged from her room, her eyes swollen and red. She habitually glanced through the peephole, then let out a sharp scream. Your father! He's passed out! Open the door! I walked to the door, calmly took out my phone and dialed 911. Mom grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin.